Hey everyone, it's TheViper here and welcome to another competitive Civ overview where we'll be looking at the Tatars. Tatars were introduced to Age of Empires 2 at the release of the Definitive Edition with the Last Khans DLC. They've gone through quite some changes over the last couple of years and have eventually landed at a good place, being a strong and reliable civilization in tournaments. Stats tell us it's one of the worst civilizations in the game, but it makes sense as Tatars don't necessarily shine on a large variation of maps, but rather on more open, standard land maps, and the latter doesn't provide that at all times. We can't always trust numbers, as we also see amazing civilizations like Vietnamese and Mayans on the lower end. It's still fun though to dive into some stats. Their worst matchup is on a brutal 37% win rate versus the Bohemians. And again, I'd imagine this is mostly on close maps where they get completely shut down by the Bohemian composition. On the other hand, they are having great success versus Japanese, Koreans and the Vietnamese, and surprisingly, even Georgians, which many consider to be the best civilization in the game at the very moment. We see Tatars played often in tournaments for standard land maps, and also in Empire Wars, where Tato famously won the final game of the most recent Red Bull Volo with the Tatars. In team games, we mostly see them snuck in as a flank civilization. They can play Feudal Age with range units, or on other certain maps they can execute a clean fast castle into cav archers, for example, as they are a very flexible civilization. They're only lacking a power unit such as the Paladin for the pocket position, and you'll rarely see them prioritized highly for close maps or water maps. Right from the get-go, Tatars already benefit from villagers gathering 50% more food from herdables, meaning sheep, buffaloes, goats, and so on. It's important to note that it simply translates to the sheep lasting longer and not a faster collection of the food. It's always a nice passive bonus, and I find it very helpful for games where you've lost a boar, for example, as you'll still have enough resources to pull off your build. Tatars do have a strong feudal age, as their flexible tech tree allows them to go for any option, since they will all scale well into the next ages. You probably want to avoid the infantry line, however, unless you need some spearmen versus enemy scouts. But other than that, every other unit is viable. Presumably, you'll have extra food from the sheep, which allows you to do either a very strong scout opening or just delay farms in favor of more wood for more army and production buildings with a range unit approach. Both options are seen frequently, and you'll also see both scouts and range units combined, as they have access to all the upgrades in this age, and as I said earlier, they all scale well into the next age. And we cannot forget to mention another civilization bonus that can dictate every fight in the game in your favor: a 25% bonus damage while fighting from higher elevation. This is on top of the default bonus damage you already get and allows you to take even better fights. Tatar strength truly arrives in the Castle Age. Immediately, you receive the Thumb Ring upgrade for free, giving you an incredible power spike to your range units, and also bolsters a strong cavalry archer switch. A lot of players try to rush to the Castle Age purely for this upgrade to come into effect and give you control of the game, or to try and make some early power play with Steppe Lancers, as Tatars is one of the few civs with access to this unit. You can of course continue playing knights, light cavalry, crossbowmen and skirmishers depending on the situation, but more often than not, the Tatars will want to lean into the mobility side of things, looking towards cavalry and cavalry archers. Mobility will also help you to move around and take advantage of the mentioned elevation bonus. The Keshik is also an incredible unit, very cheap for its stats and also generating gold while fighting. It produces relatively fast and can serve as your melee cavalry unit should you have castles to produce from. In the castle, you also find the unique tech, Silk Armor, giving light cavalry, steppe lancers and cavalry archers +1 melee armor and +1 pierce armor, but this is more often researched during the next age. If all this wasn't enough, they also have another passive bonus, where each new town center you build will spawn 2 extra sheep. This can help kickstart a boom and is naturally very nice in the early stage, as you can delay early farming, allowing you to spend the wood elsewhere for the time being. The Imperial Age is where I would say you can build infantry, but only halberdiers and only if they are necessary against enemy cavalry units. No champions and no plate mail armor simply makes their infantry line weak. You still want to follow the Tatars' red thread of mobility. The cavalry archers and hussar are already 2 great units, and with the silk armor they become even greater, and you see players play this type of composition all the time. Silk armor might even make a case for elite steppe lancers, but personally I do prefer elite Keshik when possible. The Imperial Age unique tech is called Timurid Siegecraft and gives Trebs +2 range, meaning their trebuchets can reach 19 range, with siege engineers researched as well. This can obviously be super crucial in long-range siege battles. The Flaming Camel is also a unique unit of the Tatars, and it used to be locked behind Timurid Siegecraft and produced from castles, but in a very recent change they moved it to the Sea Workshop and it becomes available right away in the Imperial Age. It is a very strong unit against elephants in particular, and does okay against other cavalry and buildings, but it's a hard unit to get proper value from, so unfortunately you don't see them too often. Their other siege options are always fine choices with siege rams and onagers, but heavy scorpions are on paper hard to make work for most civs. As the game goes on, when I play Tatars, I'll pretty much all the time try to get to like a composition of Keshik and heavy cavalry archers or Hussar heavy cavalry archers, as it is simply the best composition in the game, and I would always trickle in some siege where necessary as well. Everything we have talked about so far makes it very clear how strong Tatars can be on the mentioned open and standard land maps. However, if we look towards closed maps and water maps, the Tatars do fall short. At least you have fast fire ships, galleons with bracers, and elite cannon galleons, but no shipwright makes it hard to justify this civ as a priority on water. Should you find yourself with Tatars on a water map, you're better off trying to force the issue on land to take advantage of your bonuses there. The same goes for hybrid maps, where you can do a decent job on water in the opening, but eventually have to shift the focus to land. On closed maps such as Arena and Black Forest, the Tatars are quite poor due to the lack of a good monastery and bombard cannons. 19 ranged trebuchets is not enough to justify this civilization on maps where mobility does not play a huge role. Overall, I really like Tatars as a civilization. They're a great option on open maps for both team games and 1v1, and you can hit some great timings to dominate your opponents in their early stages, and this is also reflected in their pick rates in tournaments. They're fairly predictable, however, in terms of how they want to play, but knowing what's coming does not make it any easier to stop. Finally, this is how I rank them in the different categories. On land, they get an A, while on hybrid and water maps they get a B, and closed maps they get a C. Their early phases are great, with the Dark Age and Feudal Age getting an A, Castle Age getting an S, as that's again where they get the real power spike, Imperial Age gets an A, and then post Imperial Age they get a B. Thank you very much for watching, hope you enjoyed the video, and as usual, make sure to let me know in the comments what you think, and also what civilization you want to see next. Make sure to leave a thumbs down if you don't like the content, and unsubscribe if you don't want to see more. I'll see the rest of you for the next one.